Hello everybody. Last time we discussed about building something very simple, classic Hello World in a message box. That was just too simple introduction slash simple tutorial. This is a part 2 of that. This one we're gonna go in depth in terms of variables, what are variables and what are the basic types of variables and how and when to use them. With that being said, let's just get started with our project Hello World. Let's just make that bigger, double click on the main. We briefly touched on the variables here, but now we want to go a little bit deeper to understand what are variables and how it's used, when it's used, and variable scope. Everything that we need to know about variables we will learn in this tutorial. Let's do a sequence. Here we have a sequence. Let's do outer sequence. Let's have another sequence, and this one let's just call it a inner sequence. What we want to do is we want to put one of them here, second one here. So now notice each one of these message box are inside its own container. So they have their own container. Basically what this is just simply a container that keeps the code clean for readability purposes. That makes it a little bit easier. For example, if you wanted to close this and just read the title, it would be easier to read that compared to having like a whole bunch of codes back to back. So the sequence is just organizational, like the things that you put in the middle of the folder where you flip it. Basically that's what it is. And reason why I did this is that I want to discuss about the scope of the variable. Here you can have a variable scope in terms of we have a main, and if I do it inner sequence, notice we get an error here because the variable str message box output is only accessible from this inner sequence. What we need to do instead is take one out, go out one to outer sequence. So now the scope of the variable is outer sequence. The outer sequence covers the outer sequence and inner sequence. So that variable is accessible anywhere within this sequence. If I were to have something else here, let's just say I want to have another message box, and if I want to simply, you see the variable panels, the variable just disappeared. As soon as I click this, it pops up saying, hey, you have this variable available here. So this is out of scope, so the variable will not even show up. Let's just delete this for now. So the variables are basically a storage container. So when is it useful is when you're writing a code that you want to put it in a storage for a second and say I'm gonna need this later. So you can just put it there and access it later and perform more operation down the road. That's what it is used for. So for example, if we were to take an input form, let's just say custom input dialog. Let's do that. Dialog title. Let's just say user name. User's name would be more grammatically correct, I believe. Input label. This has to be inside the quotation mark because the input label takes parameter type string. So let's just say, yeah, text box is good. Value, what we want to do is we want to ask the user, what is your name? what is your name, then store it into str underscore users name. Let's just name it like that. And we want to say hello user, right? So instead of saying hello world, what we can do is hello plus str message box. So basically you can just use a plus to combine all the strings, and you can do the same for other types of there's some limitation depending on the variable type. So what I want to do in this execution is I want to run the code up to this point. I don't want to execute the rest. So I can right click on this and toggle a breakpoint. What that does is that if I run it in debug mode, it's going to execute everything up to this point. So let's just see what our input dialog will look like. User's name, what is your name? Let me just put my name. Hello blank. Something went wrong. I think we might have done something. Notice the out it's not printing my name. So let's just click cancel and code stopped at our breakpoint. We can stop this and see what went wrong and where we made a mistake. So I'm storing the user entry into str user's name, but I accidentally put the wrong variable here. So what we want to do instead is replace that with user's name. Now when we execute this, it should show my name. See, hello Shuhratjan. Let's click yes, perfect. So it worked. On the left side you can see what is like your storages and different things that we have. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Alright, so variables, we have a message box output. I clicked yes, so the value of that variable is in here. The type is string, the same for user's name. I put my own name and the type is string, and there is a property of the previous activity, and the current one is a sequence activity. That's where we are stopped. If you want, what you can do is step into what that does is it executes one at a time. But if you want to execute the rest, you don't want to go one at a time, you can just hit the play button. It just continues till the end of the code, and basically this one is prints this. Just yes. Okay, perfect. Alright, so we just discussed the variable type, string. Now what we want to discuss is what is your name, and let's just copy paste, or we can just use input dialog. Alright, what is your name, where do you live? Let's just put that in there. Dialog label, where are you from? We can do something like that. So we can see these different texts where each one is printing, and we want to store this one into str underscore users location, maybe. Yep. Also notice we start building things, it's always good idea to name these to something that's easy to remember down the line for clean coding, and it's just the best practice, because if you come back to your code after 6 months, you might forget when you start building some complex automation. So let's just put user's name. we get the user's name and user's location. Now let's play around with this a little bit. Let's do it a little bit different method. We just learned how to do string plus. Now we can also do this string format, where we can do string that format quotation. We can say something like the user's name is, we put 0, so the 0 is used so that we're gonna replace something at the runtime. So user's name is, let's just do single quotation, period, user currently lives at. Let's just do that. Next one should be 1. What we can do is, now we have a user name, we have a 0, user currently lives at 1. What we can do is comma, str, let's see, user's name, let's just copy that. So what happens here is that this user's name will go into 0. Now, if we want something for the 1, we need to have another one. So it just goes in order. str, let's just click save. User's location, let me copy this from here. So now we have a user's name and user's location. Let's just click save. In this variable, were we combining the user's location and user's name? And let's just hit the run. User's name is Rajon, user is currently lives at Key West. Yep, let's just click that and we'll stop. Our next variable type we want to discuss is the Boolean type. Boolean type holds a value of true or false. Integer is the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way to any number, but it has to be the whole number, it can't be 1.5. The string is a text. Object is a tricky one. It took me a while to learn. In a simple words, object variable is a storage that's not defined. It could be anything. It could be a number, it could be Boolean, it could be the string, it could be any type of items. But these other variables are specific storage for those specific type of data. Data table is simple table similar to Excel. Basically, you have a columns and rows data table. And high resource, I haven't used that one a lot, so I'm not too sure what this one is. This is something new UiPath has. An array is simply, you can think of it as a array and list are very similar. Array is list of, for example, if you want to store something, instead of storing it in different variable, you want to put them in order back to back, you can use array. You can have an array of, for example, Boolean, integer, string. You can have an array of whole bunch of type of variables. Also, there's so many types of variables that are available. You can look it up. I just wanted to cover high level the usual variable types that are used often in different projects. That's all I wanted to cover for this tutorial. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I do review those comments periodically. All right, thank you. Have a nice day.